Hello, welcome to the instructions for Module 7. Module 7 is part of Unit 2, you'll remember, and we will be covering Chapter 6 in this particular module. Please remember to read your chapter and review the PowerPoint slides. You will be completing the usual Canvas assignments. The first assignment will be your Module 7 video response. This response will focus on the topic of this chapter, which is our perception of others. You will also be completing your Module 7 discussion board and peer responses, and you'll finish up the module by completing your multiple choice quiz. Please remember to check through the Canvas due dates so that you leave yourself plenty of time to complete the assignments. Before I go, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about some really interesting constructs that come up in this particular chapter. First of all, I wanted to bring up the idea of nonverbal communication. Humans pick up a lot of information in regular interactions with others without even speaking with them. And additionally, nonverbal communication varies from culture to culture. We are raised with the idea of what gestures and facial expressions mean, whether those are positive or negative. If we go to another culture, another geographic region even, within the same country, we may find that the expressions that we demonstrate on our face or with our body are not understood in the same way that we're used to. Of course, we get a lot of direct communication through verbal interaction, but picking up what others are feeling and what we expect them to do is greatly influenced by our ability to detect what's going on in their face and their body. I want you to think about nonverbal communication as gestures, maybe something that somebody's doing with their hands, symbols, also just the general idea of, let's say, how quickly somebody speaks or how many pauses a person takes between their sentences. And then what's really interesting to me is eye contact and personal space. We'll find that there are some cultures that do not value direct eye contact, whereas other cultures will see a lack of direct eye contact as suspicious behavior. I also wanted to talk about the perception of others based on our own beliefs. We have some really interesting research in psychology that talks about how we tend to be much easier on ourselves than we are on others. So this is based in the work of attribution theory. Attribution meaning, how are we attributing what others are doing and what we're doing? And attribution theory brings in two causal explanations. The first being the situation, and the second being the person. If, for example, we notice that a fellow coworker or student or family member arrives late to some scheduled event, we can decide why we think they arrived late. We can say a situational explanation or attribution would be there was a lot of traffic, the weather was bad. You can see how those are based on the situation. Now, if we attribute that person's behavior of arriving late to them, we might say, oh, they're lazy, disorganized, irresponsible. Social psychologists tend to find that we're easy on ourselves, meaning we take credit for our successes, but we blame the situation for our failures. And then we tend to do the opposite of that for others. Please look through those constructs in your chapter: self-serving bias, fundamental attribution error, actor-observer, because they really help us to expand on our ability to be people who are more sensitive to the situational influences of behaviors when we see them in other people as opposed to just ourselves. I hope you enjoy this chapter. I find it very interesting, and I will see you back in the instruction video for our next module.